Welcome to the Short Term Show, the show about short-term rentals and long-term wealth, with real property owners hosting real properties who are crushing it in the vacation and short-term rental space. And here's your host, Avery Carl.
This episode of the Short Term Show is brought to you by the Short Term Shop. If you're interested in buying a short-term rental in one of the top vacation markets in America, just go to theshorttermshop.com and click Get Connected with an Agent. If you purchase a home with the shop, you'll have access to all of our client-only benefits, such as training on how to manage your short-term rental. So we'll teach you everything you need to know, from how to set up your Airbnb and VRBO listings to how to use the property management software that you'll need to streamline your business, all the way down to helping you source your local boots on the ground like cleaners, handy people, etc. We've taught thousands of people just like you how to buy and manage their vacation homes from anywhere in the world. So head on over to theshorttermshop.com and click Get Connected with an Agent to get started. I do have to mention that we're brokered by EXP, or else I get in trouble. We'll see you guys over there. Hey guys, welcome back to the Short Term Show. We have a familiar face today, Julie Gates. She is a really good friend of mine, a property manager of a lot of different properties in a lot of different markets and different types of markets. So she has some really unique experience that a lot of us don't have in managing so many in so many different places. So we've got a really interesting show just kind of talking about the state of the short-term rental market this year. So how's it going, Julie?
Wonderful. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. Thanks so much for coming. And for those who may not have listened to the previous one, just give us a quick intro of yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do.
Absolutely. My job is that I am a short-term rental property manager. So I'm here to talk property management today. I live in Savannah, Georgia, very proudly love Savannah. And I do manage it quite a wide net, but I have been told many times that no one's really talking property management. So I'm here to talk to you all. I know most of your audience self-manages. That's great. And I think we should always be trying to do better and improve. And I am fresh off the steps of a trip to Las Vegas. I just got in a few hours ago and I went to a property management convention. So Avery, I brought you all of the dirt. I know it all. And I'm here to announce a lot of things that were told to us as bigger property management companies. So I want your audience to also be aware of what's coming down the pike so you can manage your properties better.
Well, I think we'd all really love to hear that. So I will let you just take the lead then, since you've got some things you want to hit on, and then I'll just ask questions as we go.
Absolutely. Well, again, back to my trip to Vegas. Our theme is Vegas today. If you guys will go with that. I had some really great sessions, met with some great vendors. Everyone is in one room. That's the wonderful thing about these conventions. And probably my favorite moment was I took a photo with Honorag from Price Labs. I have very strange celebrity crushes, and one of those is Honorag with Price Labs. So I had met with him on Zoom many times, but I got to take a picture with him. I was so excited. But anyway, the biggest announcement I want to tell y'all about that you'll be interested in is Booking.com. And I don't know how many of you even consider putting your properties on Booking.com. If you spend time with me, you'll realize that I'm really big on diversification. I would never, ever recommend that any of you only are on one platform. That's very dangerous, in my opinion. And I've seen it in my own my own business and my own real estate, and also working with others. You have a single point of failure. So always you want to diversify. I do have actually properties on Booking.com because I'm a big early adopter and I love these platforms. So I went because I'm a fan, and I also manage a hotel, and that's on Booking. So I wanted to hear what they had to say. But Booking.com is coming for short-term rentals. I had no idea. But they have really turned their focus to short-term rentals. They see the value. I think COVID has done a lot of things in this business. And one of the biggest things is these giant companies are like, whoa, we're missing the boat. So what they have announced, which I really think you guys need to tune into this, is that not only are they coming for us, one of the biggest issues with Booking.com, Avery, I know you're familiar with this. This is not news to most people in this world, is the payment issue, is getting paid from booking guests. So they have launched a platform, which is there right now. I observed it in my account 2 days ago. I didn't know it was there. but they have a payment platform specifically for short-term rentals. They are taking the payment, they're guaranteeing the payment, and they're paying out the day of check-in. This has never been done before. This is news. You no longer have chargebacks. You can set your cancellation policy. Mine is strict. I mean, we now have power with Booking.com that we did not have before. Previously, you had to have your own Stripe account. You hoped they didn't do a chargeback. I mean, they've solved a lot of the issues. The other thing Booking has announced, which is huge news, is that in order to draw short-term rental hosts like yourself and myself and Avery in, is that Booking.com has created an insurance policy. So now, similar to Airbnb and what you can get through VRBO, you will be covered for up to $1 million in damages. They have been listening. And these are pretty major things for this platform, you guys. Booking.com is huge internationally. This is a very large platform. This is not a small platform I'm speaking about. This is one of the big players in the industry. And I think this is fantastic. And I am here to recommend that all of you give Booking.com a listen. Right now, Europe has a very weak currency compared to the US. So we're not getting a lot of Europeans in right now, but give it time. I assure you, as soon as the dollar weakens a little bit, they're going to be flooding over here. And many, many European travelers have never heard of Airbnb. They don't know about VRBO or Expedia. They will most likely find your property through Booking. So in order to get ready for that phenomenon, I really recommend that you get on Booking. And I have nothing to gain by this. I'm just reporting the news, so to speak. So that is my report on Booking. Expedia. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I just had a quick question about that. So I know that a lot of international hosts have a lot of success with Booking, but specifically domestically, at least my personal experience hasn't been that great. So I haven't bothered with it anymore. And I think it's kind of what I'm hearing across the board. So you're saying they're really trying to step into this space and take some of that market share from Airbnb, probably.
Yes, they have listened. And I have had houses booked through Booking.com and then really regretted it and pulled them off. I personally have done that. And you're hearing that across the board. You've had probably a similar experience. If the guest is A, going to cancel last minute, or B, call their credit card 2 days later and say they've never heard of me, meaning I don't get paid, it's not worth having my house on that platform. Right. So they've heard all those complaints, Avery, which is huge. And they've listened and they've already implemented solutions. This is huge news in the industry. And you guys are hearing it first.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that's exciting. So, I know a lot of people have been unhappy with Airbnb and some of its rollout since COVID, and everybody's kind of been saying, well, what's the next thing going to be? What's the next thing? And it looks like maybe that might be Booking.com. So interesting.
Yes. And that is why I'm here to talk to you guys, because I want to keep you abreast of the newest stuff. It's important. This business changes fast, right? So we've got to be in the know. So I'm your girl. The next, that was probably the presentation that just blew my eyebrows black. I was like, whoa. Second was Expedia. I know we've all heard rumors. If you're on VRBO, you're on Expedia. If you're on Expedia, you're on VRBO. Every bit of that has been a load of, up until now, unfortunately. And I knew that. So I had been putting properties up onto both because I knew they weren't talking. And Expedia bought VRBO 6 years ago. So this has been a long time coming, but they are officially within the next quarter launching to where VRBO speaks to Expedia. So your properties on VRBO will be fed through. This is huge. They will now have, this is a massive increase in eyeballs that will see your property. Expedia is a really big deal. And they're also seeing the value in the vacation rental space. So I am still going to put my properties onto both until I hear that connection is completed. It's not done, but they're flat out saying it will be done this quarter. And that's a big deal that they're even giving those promises, because these guys are they're always nervous, to give predictions. So that's my Expedia news. Have you heard these rumors as well about, are they talking? Are they not?
I have always heard that VRBO and Expedia are the same thing. So you only need to do VRBO. Yeah, I have heard that. So I hadn't dug into it any further than that, but that is interesting news as well.
Yes, that is the news. The other big player is obviously Airbnb, and I would love to have an announcement. I've got nothing. I heard nothing from Airbnb at this convention. In fact, my associate, my coworker, and I went to their booth because, you know, I wanted to check out the swag and get the news. They wouldn't even really look at us. They were all talking to each other. I was kind of surprised. The other vendors would be in the hall like, hey, come look at my product. And Airbnb, they kind of were just kind of hanging out, talking to each other. So I grabbed my swag and left. So I have nothing to report on Airbnb. I apologize. My report is no report. So
No,
they
maybe
do
they
have
don't
a
have
big
anything to
announcement
report.
coming.
They
Yes,
do?
right. They said they will in the fall is what I'm
Mhm.
hearing, but what that will be, I will report on later. I
I
promise.
mean, it's almost winter.
I agree. So
Yep.
that's from Airbnb.
Well, I look forward to that. Well, what else? Did you hear anything else interesting at that conference?
So many good things. We'll get back to Vegas at the end of our segment, but
Okay.
I do want to talk about something that I have a feeling you and your audience has been dealing with this year. And I just, you know, we're all in this together. Okay. And I want y'all to feel that because this is true. And I manage nationwide, so I can see trends in the market. And end of August into September, we had to, what I'm calling a pause. Did you experience this as well, Avery? Where it was, we all of a sudden just kind of had this like pause in bookings. It just went way down all of a sudden. Did you also experience this?
I did not overall. I might have on one or two properties that I would need to look at, but I did not.
Okay.
But I've heard it around.
Yes, I have as well. I run a lot of hosting groups. And again, I also host. And I spent about 2 weeks pulling owners out of trees. I mean, they're like, get it booked. And I'm dropping pricing. I mean, I'm doing everything. It's not like I also wanted to get booked. I don't get paid if I don't get it booked. So I'm assuming many of your viewers are nodding their heads and going, yes, that was really stressful. I was reading it on blogs. I was seeing this everywhere. So, and I brought this up at the convention in Vegas. Did you also experience this? And these huge property management companies that I was talking to, they all went through the same thing. I want to speak to y'all today really quick about two properties that I personally manage. They're here in Savannah. And man, these two properties during that pause, I just started seeing stuff come in just very last minute. I was dropping pricing. It wasn't working. I'm adjusting. I mean, I'm doing all the stuff they tell you, adjust your listings, adjust your, you know, to content, everything. These two houses I could not get booked. So I have a VRBO rep and an Airbnb rep. And I had been just like, y'all, please, these owners are so upset. They think I'm incompetent. I can't make a booking fly out of the sky. Like I was doing everything I possibly could. And they kept saying, Julie, you've got to look at the listings as if you've never seen them before. And I have often said the worst person to create a listing for short-term rental is the owner, because we fall in love with certain things. But what you're in love with is not necessarily anything that the guest cares about. In fact, there's one listing that I tried to take on and I ended up letting it go because all the photos were just of the art on the walls. And I didn't want to offend this owner, but I'm like, no one cares about the art on the walls. Like they want to see the kitchen, the bedroom. So anyway, so I looked very closely at these two listings I was really struggling with. And I realized how horrendous the photos are. And do you know who took the photos? My photographer. It's not an issue with the photographer. She's talented. They're professional. They're high quality, yada, yada. But these two owners are my cheapest owners. Okay. And when I really looked at the photos as a whole, these two houses were both completely furnished on a very small budget out of Facebook Marketplace. And they had bragged to me about this. And I always like, whenever I'm told this one, they're like, I got it all on Facebook Marketplace. I'm always like, yay. And I'm an investor. I understand. I get it that where you wanted, the less you spend, the more you make, arguably. But when we took this pause and all of a sudden there was less demand, but we have all these houses, guests are very, very visual. So when they have a huge amount of opportunity to book, you have 40 houses you're looking at instead of 4. They were over and over and over showing me that the choices were going towards the houses that were well decorated, that were beautiful, they were stylish. And these two houses, I was on the struggle bus. And so I actually very purposely went through the photos and I finally found a couple that kind of popped. And I had many people look at them as well. And once I got the best photos I could come up with, it's not perfect. They did book very within a week or so, and the owners were happy. So I guess my PSA today to the short-term rental world is please make the house pretty. Guests are visual. I really believe half of your listing could be in German and it really wouldn't matter. The guests pretty much just look at the photos. And you might have professional photography, but if you have a blah decor, that's going to affect your bookings, and ultimately that's going to affect your revenue. So it is my opinion that you should spend more on the decor. Maybe not, you don't have to have Williams Sonoma in every room, but it should look like Williams Sonoma in every room, especially in those photos. And I saw this very clearly during this kind of drop in bookings back in September.
Hey guys, if you're enjoying the content of our podcast, but you have additional short-term rental questions, we host a weekly live question session that you guys can join for free. It's at 1 p.m. Eastern on Thursdays. And if you head over to strquestions.com, you can sign up. So not only am I the host of this show, but I also own and manage my own properties, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have about short-term rental investing. So please join us anytime for a free weekly live Q&A on Zoom. Sign up at strquestions.com. I have a question about that. So those two listings, how long have those been online? Like, when did that person buy them, and when did they get up for rental?
Both longer. Well, one with over a year and one over 6 months, and they had booked well previously. They're in great locations. We have great reviews. I promise you, I was racking my brain, but visually they're just okay. So people were choosing.
Yeah, and that makes sense. And also, so that's kind of what I was hoping that you were going to say, so I could make my next point, and the difference between buying something last year and getting something up and going last year, which is not a normal year, and this year. So a lot of people bought stuff and just slapped it up last year. So whether it was, maybe they bought in an area that wasn't ideal for the market they were buying in, and it worked last year because everything was so crazy, but in a normal market, it wouldn't necessarily work. Or, maybe the furniture is grandma, but, last year you could have rented a porta-john anywhere and it would have rented, and this year it doesn't. So that's the point that I wanted to make, is that I'm seeing a lot of people complaining about this business lately that have bought in the last year, when last year it was really easy and you didn't have to do any work. And this year you actually have to manage, and you have to pay attention, and it is a business. It's not a crock pot. You can't just set it and leave it. You do have to get in there and tweak, and you have to mess around, and you do have to manage it. That's why it's called managing. And I think that a lot of people are having that problem. Like, same thing with the decor, they just got what was good enough on Facebook Marketplace, but in a real normal market, and sorry, there's a guy blowing pine straw right outside here. And in a normal market, you have to pay attention and you have to mind your business. So I think that's part of it too.
I totally agree. And every one of y'all, myself included, we have to earn the guest's business. They're spending a lot of money with us, and they have every right to choose the best product that they can find for that money. And, we need to provide that product. We need to earn that every day. We've got to keep our service high, the homes high. It's important to me personally, just that this business is well respected. I don't want to be this janky host that's trying to make as much money as possible off of a couple of rubber bands, around curtain rods. Like, we can all do better. So and Avery, honestly, if you and Luke didn't have much of a pause, that really tells me, I know you have amazing decor. And I think that's a big reason why, because again, when there's so much competition, you need to stand out. You've got to earn that business. And clearly you did.
I also think that that if you've been on a long time and have a lot of reviews, that probably helps too. Like, some of our properties have been on there for forever. So I think that also plays into it. It's just the age of a lot of our listings but we have over the years spent time and effort updating and, making sure things were up to date. Like, gosh, all of our Smoky Mountain properties when we bought them had blue Formica countertops and like peel and stick linoleum, like wood look linoleum floors. And when we first bought them, we just had to rent them the way they were because we couldn't afford to update them. But, every slow season, we've done one other thing. And then now all of our properties are nice and updated, and they look really good and have good furniture. So, it's one thing if you're just starting and you got to just do what you can to get where you can get to where you can afford to to update the decor, but it does make a difference because people are visual and they're not going to open your listing and read it if the first few pictures don't grab them and make them.
Yes. 1,000%. And I'm with you, Avery. When I first started buying these rentals, I did not have a lot of money and I used Facebook Marketplace and Goodwill. Okay. I'm not saying I'm better than anyone, but I had to replace all of it within 3 years. So now I very purposely buy furniture that I want to last 10 to 15 because it's a nightmare to redecorate these short-term rentals between guests. It's easy to change out the sheets, the pillows, maybe some photos, but a couch, like I want my couch to last. I want my bedroom furniture to be solid wood, so the drawers aren't like, like I'd rather spend the money up front and have it last for a long time, but it also looks very beautiful. So
yeah. Totally.
Decor is huge in this arena. It really is. So don't think you can just get $100 worth of, decor and make 5,000 a month. I mean, no, not in this market.
And so I think that a lot of vacation markets, it's interesting because since you're buying properties, if you're in a vacation market, metro market, totally different. You're starting from scratch a lot of times and you can just curate it the way you want. But at least in vacation markets, a lot of times these are properties that are like, they've been short-term rentals or somebody's second home for a long time. They haven't been updated since the 80s. It looks like the Golden Girls live in there. Like the beach ones for so long, it's not as much anymore, but it was like wicker furniture, salmon colored walls. And now that's kind of cycling out. But a lot of times, you can salvage some of those things, but you kind of do have to like just start over. And, and the Smoky Mountains is pretty notorious for grandma furnishings and why can I not think of the word decor, like bear decorations and moose and all that. So yeah, it's definitely, we got to make a shift to
stand out.
Cute.
Well, I have a luxury rental in Savannah right now. I'm proud of it. It's so unique. It used to be an Irish bar. So you can like stay in a bar, which is awesome. And it's beautiful. And we have professional photography. The stuff isn't junk. But when I look at the photos as a whole, it's very brown. It's weird how it's kind of monotone. So I'm now working with the owner. I like a white wall and it's so much easier to put color in front of that. I don't know if you how you do with decor, but I always do white walls, gray floors, and then the color comes in and it seems to pop better in photos. I don't know if that's crazy, but that's what I like now.
Yeah. White walls are pretty much what anytime we paint any of our rentals, it's usually white, especially in the mountain ones where some of them are tongue and groove up to like a chair rail level. And a lot of the older ones they have them painted like green or red, but when you paint it white, it's just so nice and clean and bright. I'm a big fan of white, and I'm sure white will go out at some point. And like, remember 10, 15 years ago, everything was khaki. So I'm sure it'll go out at some point.
It will, but you can get color to pop off of white. That's what I like about it. I've seen it because I look at a lot of listings. That's kind of part of my job is critiquing. I don't build the listings, but I go through and look. And when you have a white wall with a painting in front of it, it's very visually stimulating to the viewer. So you've got to get them, like you said, to click on that listing because they're looking at a whole scroll of listings, an Airbnb or wherever they're booking. So anyway, just keep that in mind and look at things very critically.
And also in terms of just having to replace stuff, like having to replace furniture or having to replace decor, if you're not having to match a wall, it's a lot easier. If you've got a white wall, you've only got so many other things you have to match, like rugs and art and et cetera. Whereas if you've got a tan wall, well, that cuts out half, like any cool colors has to be a warm color. So it just makes it so much easier in terms of replacing things. Like this is my PTSD talking. I just had, a bed bug situation in one of mine where we just changed all the beds. We're like, we don't want to mess with, like, we're going to treat it and then maybe it comes back again. So we just replace everything and walls are white, easy, good to go. Yeah.
And then if you have to touch up, it's so dang easy because we always use the same exact paint. And now I can paint one wall and you can't tell, whereas a colored wall is so difficult. Yeah. To me, paint is a very easy thing in a house. That's one of the easier things. I'd rather paint a wall than replace furniture, frankly. But yeah, just please, that is my message today, is decor and photos matter greatly. But I wanted to kind of finish with Vegas, Avery, if you'll tolerate me. I'm a property manager, not a money manager. So I'm not a professional, but I did bring you a little treat from Vegas. I wanted to bring you a money management moment. Are you good with us finishing up with some money management, even though we've gone into decor and booking and all that?
Yeah, let's talk about it. I'm here for it.
Okay. I'm a real estate investor, as are you, Avery, and I'm sure your whole audience. So money management is very important, as you know. So I was leaving Vegas yesterday, and our flight was at 6 a.m. And so Chandler and I had to be down, trying to get a taxi at 3:45. Now, if you were in Savannah at 3:45 looking for a taxi, you'd have to walk, but in Vegas, I wasn't real worried because it was like, oh, it's Vegas, like the night is young at 3:45. But it turned out that we had to wait for a few minutes to find a taxi. So of course we got to see many very interesting things that I won't go into, there, but I really enjoy speaking with the personnel that handle these things because they have amazing stories. I love stories. And so of course the gentleman was there to help us with the luggage and help call a taxi. He's just standing there and we're just standing there. So of course I chatted him up and I was like, hey, I bet you see some crazy stuff, as the bellhop at a casino in Las Vegas. He's like, oh, you have no idea. And my favorite question to ask is always, what's the craziest thing you've seen? And I've gotten some really great answers from that question. So not even thinking money management at all. I'm just wanting a great story. I said, what's the craziest thing you've seen here, at the bellhop? And he said, it happens once a week. He said, I'll never be over it. And I said, what's that? And he said, these guys will go in, they'll win a lot of money. And he's holding his hands, for those of you that are not watching this, he's holding his hands about 18 inches apart. Okay. So he's indicating to us that there's a huge stack of money. And he said, they'll walk out with this huge stack of bills. And he said, they'll come right to me and they'll say, get me a taxi. I'm going to the strip club. And I was like, what? And he said, they do it all the time. And I thought, well, that's one form of money management. You're earning it here and you're dispersing it. And of course I had to joke. I'm like, I don't think his cash on cash return is that great. But that is one form of money management that I learned about in Las Vegas, where most people do get their money advice. I don't know, anyway, not a professional. Take it for what it's worth, but money management, keep it in mind. Maybe we don't take that one. Maybe we kind of hide that one. He's probably doing okay on his money management.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's pretty organized. So you don't spend your money where you make your money. Go spend it elsewhere.
Yeah. Yes.
Where you win your money by pure luck.
Yes. Watch that money where you spend it. Yeah. The cash flow.
Yeah, my mom always said, and I'm sure everybody's mom says, don't flash your money. Like you gotta don't be walking around with it in a stack like that.
Hilarious. I'm so tight with my money. I was like shocked when he said that. I was like, people do what? And he's like, every week. So what not to do, money management. Maybe we'll call it that.
Well, that's hilarious. Okay, Julie, do you have anything else to report back from that conference or any other pieces of news or trends or things coming down the pipe that we need to be aware of as owners and hosts?
Those are my highlights. I'm hoping to come back again and continue to talk property management. So please let us know if you enjoyed this. I hope that, everyone likes to talk property management. I definitely do. But no, that really does conclude my thoughts. I won't bore you with my stories any longer, but the theme today was Vegas for sure.
Awesome. And watch out for Booking.com. So maybe if you've tried that before and you didn't have much luck, maybe it's time to give it another shot. So that's pretty a good one to take away. All right. Well, awesome, Julie. Thank you so much for coming on, and we will catch you later.
Thanks, Avery.